Every business that matters was built on a secret. Not a secret in the legal sense, not proprietary technology or classified information. A secret in a deeper and more important sense. A belief about the world that almost nobody else held. A truth that was hidden in plain sight. A conviction that something most people assumed was impossible was not only possible but inevitable. And the person who held that belief, who acted on it before the world caught up, built something that went from 0 to 1, not from 1 to many, not from existing to bigger, from nothing to something, from a world where the thing did not exist to a world where it did. Peter Thiel built PayPal when the world said internet payments were too risky. He invested in Facebook when the world said social networks were a fad. He co-founded Palantir when the world said private companies could not build intelligence tools that governments would trust. Each time he held a belief the world had not yet caught up to. Each time the belief turned out to be right. Today we go completely inside the book, where Thiel codified everything he learned about building companies that create genuine new value so completely, so thoroughly, that by the time this ends, you will not need to read a single page yourself. Every concept, every framework, every counterintuitive truth. Right here. This is 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel, and nothing about how you think about business, competition, or the nature of genuine innovation will feel the same after this. Peter Thiel is one of the most successful and most controversial figures in the history of Silicon Valley. He was the first outside investor in Facebook, co-founded PayPal, and has backed some of the most important technology companies of the last 2 decades through his venture fund, Founders Fund. His views are unconventional, sometimes deliberately provocative, and consistently worth engaging with seriously. Because whether you agree with him or not, his framework for thinking about value creation is genuinely unlike anything else in the business literature. 0 to 1 began as notes from a class Thiel taught at Stanford on startups. A student named Blake Masters took detailed notes. The notes went viral, and Thiel and Masters turned them into a book that has become required reading for anyone serious about building something genuinely new. His central argument is both simple and radical. Most business thinking is about competition, how to compete better, how to take market share, how to be incrementally superior. But competition destroys value. The truly valuable businesses are the ones that escape competition entirely by building something so genuinely different, so specifically better, that comparison becomes irrelevant. This book is for you if you want to build something genuinely new. Not just a better version of what already exists. This book is for you if you have been thinking about startups or entrepreneurship and want the most honest and rigorous framework available for evaluating whether an idea is worth pursuing. And this book is for you if you sense that the conventional business wisdom around competition, market sizing, and incremental improvement is missing something fundamental. If any of those land, stay with this. The first idea is the one that reframes the entire purpose of building a business. Competition is not a virtue. It is a trap. Thiel opens with a distinction that runs directly against everything taught in most business schools. In economics, competition is celebrated as the mechanism that drives efficiency, lowers prices, and produces optimal outcomes. In business strategy, competitive markets are considered the norm, and monopoly is considered dangerous. Thiel argues that, from the perspective of a business builder, this framing is exactly backwards. In a perfectly competitive market, no company makes meaningful profit. Prices are driven to the point where revenue barely covers costs. Companies fight for margin that barely exists, and the relentless pressure of competition leaves no resources for long-term investment, for genuine innovation, for building anything beyond what is required to survive. Competitive markets are fine for consumers. They are terrible for builders. Monopolies are the opposite. A company that genuinely has no competition, that owns its market so completely that customers have no real alternative, can charge prices that reflect genuine value, can invest in long-term innovation, can build the kind of durable, compounding advantage that produces not just a good business, but a great one. Google, Apple, Microsoft. The companies that have generated the most value in the technology era are not the ones that competed hardest. They are the ones that escaped competition entirely. Thiel's practical instruction is direct. When evaluating any business idea, the first question is not how big is this market. The first question is, can this business become a monopoly? Can it build such a specific, such a defensible, such a genuinely superior position in some domain that competition becomes irrelevant? If the answer is no, the business may generate income. It will not generate wealth. The second idea is the one that explains how monopolies are built. Every monopoly starts by dominating a small market. Thiel makes an observation that seems paradoxical but is confirmed by almost every genuinely successful company in history. The path to dominating a large market always runs through dominating a small one, not attacking the large market directly, not trying to capture a small percentage of something massive, but owning a specific, defined, carefully chosen small market completely. Amazon started by selling books. Not all retail, not all e-commerce, books. A specific product category they could serve better than any existing alternative. And from that complete domination of one category, they expanded, methodically, deliberately, each expansion building on the foundation of complete ownership in the previous domain. Facebook started by connecting Harvard students, not the entire world, not all social networking, Harvard, one campus, owned completely, then expanded to other Ivy League schools, then all universities, then the world, each expansion from a position of complete dominance. This matters enormously for how you think about building something new. The instinct is to pursue large markets because large markets mean large opportunity. But large markets mean large competition, and large competition means you are fighting for a fraction of something enormous rather than owning something entirely. Thiel's framework says, find the small market you can own it completely, and use that ownership as the foundation for everything that follows. The third idea is the one most entrepreneurs get wrong. Secrets are the foundation of every genuinely new company. Thiel introduces a framework that is both philosophical and practical. Every important business is built on a secret, a belief about the world that most people do not hold. That turns out to be true, and the question every serious entrepreneur should be asking constantly is, what important truth do very few people agree with you on? This question is harder than it sounds, because the genuine secrets, the beliefs that will power the next generation of important companies, are by definition not obvious. They are hidden, contrarian, the kind of belief that most intelligent people would dismiss or mock, and holding that belief, acting on it before the world catches up, requires a specific kind of intellectual courage that most people never develop. Thiel argues that the world is full of secrets, that there are important truths about human psychology, about technology, about social dynamics, about business models that most people have not yet recognized. And the entrepreneur's job is not to execute on what everyone already knows. It is to find the secrets that most people have missed. The practical question is the one Thiel poses directly. What important truth do very few people agree with you on? Not a contrarian position for its own sake. A genuine belief about how the world works, about what is possible, about what people want but do not yet have. that you hold and most people do not. That belief, found honestly, tested rigorously, acted on courageously, is the seed of everything genuinely new. The fourth idea is the one that provides the most practical framework for building a company that lasts. Every great company has 7 characteristics, and most startups have none. Thiel presents what he calls the 7 questions every business must answer, not aspirationally, honestly. And the honest answers to these 7 questions determine whether a business has the foundation to become genuinely valuable. The first is the engineering question. Can you create breakthrough technology, not incremental improvement? A 10 times better solution, not 10% better. The second is the timing question. Is now the right time to build this particular business? Has the world reached the point where the conditions for success actually exist? The third is the monopoly question. Are you starting with a big share of a small market rather than a small share of a large one? The fourth is the people question. Do you have the right team? Not the most impressive credentials. The right specific people for this specific challenge. The fifth is the distribution question. Do you have a way to deliver your product, not just a way to build it? Because a great product with no distribution fails. The sixth is the durability question. Will your market position be defensible 10 or 20 years from now? Or will competition erode your advantage as soon as it appears? The seventh is the secret question. Have you identified a unique opportunity that others have missed? Is there a specific insight driving this business that most people do not yet see? Most businesses answer 1 or 2 of these questions well and assume that is enough. The businesses that answer all 7 honestly and well are extraordinarily rare and extraordinarily valuable. The fifth idea is the one that separates Thiel's thinking from almost everything else in the startup literature. The founder matters more than the market. Thiel makes an argument that runs directly against the conventional venture capital wisdom that market size matters more than anything else. A great team in a bad market will fail. A mediocre team in a great market will succeed. This is the standard view. Thiel rejects it directly. What actually determines whether a company goes from 0 to 1 is not primarily the market. It is the founder's vision, their specific, sometimes irrational, deeply personal conviction about what they are building and why it matters. The willingness to hold a belief the world has not yet validated. The ability to recruit others to that belief before the evidence is in. The determination to push through the inevitable failures and setbacks that every genuinely new thing encounters. Thiel profiles the founders of the most important technology companies and finds a consistent pattern. They are not average people with above-average execution. They are genuinely unusual people with genuinely unusual beliefs who were capable of convincing other unusual people to join them in building something the world had not yet imagined. And that quality, that specific combination of vision, conviction, and the ability to inspire, cannot be taught in a business school or replicated by a committee. The practical question for anyone building something new is not, is this market large enough? The question is, do I believe in this specifically enough, deeply enough, and honestly enough to hold that belief through the years of uncertainty and resistance that genuinely new things always encounter? The sixth idea is the one that ties everything together. The most important businesses of the next decade have not been built yet. Thiel closes with an argument that is both humbling and inspiring. The greatest technological achievements of human history are ahead of us, not behind. The energy problem is unsolved. The aging problem is unsolved. The productivity problem is unsolved. The fundamental challenges facing human civilization, the ones that would represent genuine 0 to 1 progress rather than incremental 1 to N improvement, remain open, and the companies that will solve them will not be built by people following conventional wisdom, competing in existing markets, building slightly better versions of what already exists. They will be built by people who ask the question Thiel considers the most important in all of business. What valuable company is nobody building right now? That question, asked honestly, answered courageously, pursued with the specific combination of vision and rigor that 0 to 1 requires, is where the most important businesses of the next decade will begin. The future is not something that happens to you. It is something that specific people with specific beliefs build deliberately. Starting from 0, 2, 1, always, from, secrets. Now, the honest warning. Reading about monopolies and secrets and the 7 questions will not build your company. Understanding Thiel's framework will not give you the specific belief about the world that powers a 0 to 1 business. Watching this video will not produce the founder's conviction that sustains a genuinely new thing through years of uncertainty and resistance. Only honest thinking will. Only the disciplined, sometimes lonely, often uncomfortable work of finding the secrets the world has missed, the courage to act on them before the evidence is in, and the determination to build something that matters even when most people do not yet understand it. Find your secret. Build from 0. Here are your 4 action steps this week. Step 1. Answer the Thiel question honestly. What important truth do very few people agree with you on? Not a contrarian position for its own sake. A genuine belief about how the world works that you hold, and most people do not. Write 3 candidates. Step 2. Apply the 7 questions to any business idea you are currently considering. Not aspirationally. Honestly. Where does the idea score well? Where does it fail? The honest answers are more valuable than the most optimistic pitch. Step 3. Identify one small market you could own completely. Not a large market you could capture a fraction of. A specific defined domain where complete ownership is genuinely possible. What would it take to be the best in that specific world? Step 4. Ask the final question. What valuable company is nobody building right now? Sit with that question for 48 hours. Write down every answer that arrives. Not all of them will be good, but one of them might be the beginning of something genuinely new. Let us bring this home. 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel is not a business manual. It is a philosophy of creation, about the fundamental difference between copying what works and building what has never existed, about the secrets hidden in plain sight that power every genuinely important company, about the monopolies that create real value by escaping competition entirely, about the founders who hold beliefs the world has not yet caught up to and build from those beliefs with a conviction that most people mistake for arrogance, and about the future that is not inevitable but is genuinely available to anyone willing to ask the right question. So let me leave you with one question. What do you believe about the world that almost nobody else believes? And what would you build if you acted on it? Drop a comment below and tell me which idea hit you hardest. Was it the competition trap, the 7 questions, or the search for secrets that most people have missed? I read every single one. And if you are not subscribed, do that now. Because next week we go even deeper. I will see you there. But you said?